Marjorie Taylor Greene was elected in 2020 as a representative from Georgia's 14th Congressional District. In a short period of time, she made quite a name for herself because of her outspoken views and support of conspiracy theories. In January 2020, the House approved a resolution requiring members to wear masks in Congress in an effort to mitigate the spread of COVID-19. Now, a first-time congressional representative earns an annual base salary of $174,000. But in addition to subscribing to those conspiracy theories, Marjorie Taylor Greene, also known by her initials, MTG, showed a rebellious streak and she refused to wear a mask in Congress. And that cost her. House rules mandated that members who refused to wear a mask pay a fine. For the first offense, $500, and for subsequent offenses, $2,500. In January of 2022, MTG told Newsmax that she had accrued nearly $90,000 in fines. Her reason for the refusal? She said, as a representative, she had to represent her constituents and that she was just trying to fight the fight for the people who were against it. She could evidently afford it. Greene is not one of those politicians who came from modest means. She was born in Milledgeville, Georgia on May 27, 1974. Her father, Robert Taylor, was the owner of a successful construction company, Taylor Commercial. She graduated from South Forsyth School in Cumming, Georgia, and in 1996 received a bachelor's degree in business administration from the University of Georgia. She's certainly not your typical political class member, but she fits one definition. She is an activist that is highly aware and active in politics. And Greene is a powerful force in connecting the Republican Party with the far right. But for most of her life before Congress, she was more business-oriented. She married Perry Greene in 1995, but the couple divorced in December of 2022. Her husband filed for divorce a few months earlier, saying the marriage was irretrievably broken. Marjorie had allegedly been unfaithful to her husband with several affairs years ago. She's the mother of 3 children. Perry Greene graduated in 1996 with a degree in accounting from the University of Georgia. In 1997, he became the general manager at Taylor Commercial and became the company's president in 1999. Marjorie, from 2007 to 2011, was listed as the company's chief financial officer. In 2021, however, the Atlanta Journal-Constitution found that she had little to no involvement in the business. They reported $5 million in revenue last year. In 2012, MTG worked as a part-time coach at a CrossFit gym in Alpharetta, Georgia. In 2013, Greene and a competitor, Travis Mayer, co-founded the CrossFit Passion Gym and started crafting her image as a savvy businesswoman. Greene left the company in 2017 and in an interview said she had become involved in politics in 2016 during the presidential primaries. Last year, the business reported $262,573 in revenue. She participated in a demonstration in Washington, D.C. against a Republican compromise on gun control. She became a senior member of the Family America Projection, which describes itself as the first and only national umbrella organization connecting, uniting, and informing statewide grassroots groups and activists, working together and mobilizing to support President Trump, protect constitutional rights of Americans, and reinvigorate our American roots and culture. Marjorie Taylor Greene entered her political career as a fervent supporter of Donald Trump and endorsed Trump's Stop the Steal campaign, claiming the 2020 election was rigged. She subscribes to some of the more extreme conspiracy theories, and her comments have drawn fire from both sides of the aisle. For example, after a mass shooting event in 2017, which killed 58 people in Las Vegas, Greene suggested that the shooting may have been staged. As a congresswoman, she has made several references to a 1990 incident at her high school, during which an armed student held 53 students hostage for more than 5 hours. In 2018, problems with an electrical grid in California sparked a wildfire which killed 84 people. But later that year, Greene suggested that a bank controlled by the Rothschild family, the utility company responsible for the fire, and then Governor Jerry Brown, had a motive for starting the fire, clearing the way for a high-speed rail project. In 2018, Greene appeared in a video shot at the Capitol, suggesting that Democratic Representatives Ilhan Omar of Minnesota and Rashida Tlaib of Michigan weren't official members of Congress because they didn't take the oath of office on the Bible. Omar and Tlaib are both Muslims. And she's apparently something of a 9/11 truther. In 2018, Green did a video in which she talked about the terrorist attacks, mentioning a so-called plane that hit the Pentagon. Green said, "It's odd. There's never any evidence for a plane in the Pentagon." Also, in 2018, she liked a comment posted on Facebook by a person who claimed that 9/11 was done by our own government. She left a comment saying, "That is all true." Green raised eyebrows again in October of 2022 when a campaign video showed her comparing Democrats to feral hogs, which were ranging free and destroying the countryside. Then, she took a rifle and climbed aboard a helicopter from which she tracked down and shot a hog. Then, she posed next to the pig and invited her supporters to enter a drawing, the winner of which would go with her on her next hog-killing trip. Then, at a Trump rally in Michigan, she said to the crowd, "We are all targets now for daring to push back against the regime. I am not going to mince words with you all. Democrats want Republicans dead, and they have already started the killings." Prior to her 2020 election, estimates of Greene's net worth ranged from millions to tens of millions of dollars, primarily due to her position within her father's construction company and as a co-owner of a CrossFit gym. That year, her campaign committee received a total of over $3.5 million. Greene was sworn into office on January 3, 2021, after having won her seat by receiving 74% of the vote. In the run-up to the election, according to ProPublica.org, Greene claimed that hugely successful fundraising efforts indicated her support against the acceptance of the 2020 election results. But financial disclosures showed that Greene used an email marketing vendor that takes as much as 80% of every dollar, meaning that the estimates of the contributions were not indicative of a huge groundswell of support, but rather the product of overpriced email campaigns targeting hardcore Republicans. According to CNBC, Greene bought somewhere between $15,000 and $50,000 in shares of Digital World Acquisition Group, which was set to merge with Donald Trump's TMTG, Trump Media and Technology Group. The mission of which is to set up an alternative to what the group calls the Liberal Media Consortium and to fight back against big tech companies. In 2021, the merger was delayed in order to get the vote of at least 65% of shareholders of DWAG. A report from Business Insider says Greene lost between $12,000 and $41,000 in the venture. There's no question that Marjorie Taylor Greene has raised eyebrows on both sides of the aisle because of her willingness to say what's on her mind. In October of 2022, an online poll indicated that 13% of respondents held a very favorable opinion of MTG, while 30% said they had a very unfavorable. She drew fierce criticism from Republicans and Democrats alike after she spoke at an America First political action conference in Orlando, Florida, featuring white nationalist live streamer Nick Fuentes. She said that she had been unaware of who he was. Later, she said, knowing now what she didn't know then, she would not have spoken at the conference. But she doesn't regret the message to those in attendance, and she's concerned about kids that would follow him. Greene has been burnishing her image as a political outsider, but her lifestyle is somewhat at odds with her carefully crafted populist profile. As of September 2022, Greene's net worth was reportedly at approximately $4 million. Her wealth prior to the election was not inconsiderable, so she doesn't appear to be in it for the money. She was accused of filing 2 homestead tax credits in Georgia, when legally, someone is allowed to claim only one primary residence. According to WSB-TV, MTG owns a home in North Fulton County when she purchased another $610,000 property in her congressional district. So, does Marjorie Taylor Greene make outrageous-sounding comments because of her deep-seated convictions? Or does she do it to stay in the spotlight? After all, she has much better name recognition than most other freshman congressional representatives. According to a Morning Consult Politico poll, MTG is becoming increasingly recognizable to voters and one of the most influential members of Congress. But this increasing familiarity to voters also provides Democrats with another very visible target as they continue their branding of the GOP as the party of conspiracy and racism.